again for Mick Geggus' Rock and Roll Campfire. A little show in which we will be interviewing guitarists and bass players from the worlds of rock and punk and find out all their nasty little secrets. Guitar-wise, mind. Guitar-wise. Wash your mouth out with soap. Now, my first guest today is the legendary guitarist from the Ruts DC and the newly formed Wingmen, Mr. Leigh Heggarty. Thanks for coming on, mate. Right. It's great to see you, mate, as usual. Let's start with a brief talk about Ruts DC. Okay. I believe you reformed in around 2011.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The first shows were November and December 2011. The reformation was not planned at all. As you probably know, Paul, my illustrious predecessor, Paul Fox, sadly left us in 2007, and there was a one-off reunion show with Henry Rollins singing, and loads of other punky groups playing. Great show, and I did one of the rehearsals for that because Paul was unwell, and he put me up for it. Said, you know, Lee can play the songs, and I'd learned some of them from him, so I knew him sort of locally. And that show happened, then sadly Paul left us, and there was no plan for the band to reform. The band didn't exist, but gradually things started to happen, as they sometimes do in life. There was a chance of there was some remixing going on of some of the Rhythm Collision stuff, I think, and that led to the chance of doing a new Rhythm Collision album. So that was the album the band did, the dub album they did in '82, I think. Chance of doing another album. Dave and Seg started to put that together, and I'm pleased to say they asked me to play some guitar on it.
Good choice.
Thank you. But along with other people as well, so everyone kind of collaborated on that. And then chance of some gigs came up. I think the original one, there was going to be a dub festival in France, and that actually got cancelled, but by then we sort of had a group. And Seg was playing in the Alabama 3 at the time, playing bass, and I think Rob, particularly from the Alabama 3, basically said, well look, we're about to go out on tour, if you've got a band, come and do a few shows. So we did 3 or 4 shows on their tour, with myself on guitar, Dave and Seggs of course, Seamus Behan on keyboards, and Moller, who sang in Zion Train, who also collaborated with Dave and Seggs. So it was quite reggae based, although by the end we were playing in a rut, Babylon's Burning.
Of course.
By the end of the 4 shows.
Absolutely not.
You know, but originally I think we were taking it as a reggae thing, initially. So we did those shows, and then kind of nothing happened for a couple of months, but gradually people started to say, what about this and what about that? And we got offered gigs. And it's gone from there. So
brilliant, and it culminated in that brilliant show at Shepherd's Bush Empire, the Crack anniversary show.
Yeah, the Crack 40,
which was
fantastic.
It was a big deal, wasn't it?
It was a great thing to do. So that was 40 years of the Cracks. That was 2019. And we did a tour of that, and that was a fantastic show. Brilliant. I'd do it more if we could, but on the other hand, you can't always look back.
No, you can't.
Same as with your band, you can't.
No, you can't. No,
you have to look forward as well.
Forward as well, and sideways sometimes.
Often in my case. But I must say, as someone, it was quite strange. I spent much of my youth sitting on the end of my bed playing along with the Crack and trying to work out how to play. And I then found myself sitting on the end of the bed playing along with the Crack again.
That's the weirdest feeling. That's the weirdest feeling. It's like when I was with the Crunch Light, and all of a sudden you got Chimesy on drums here. You know what I mean? I could think,
it's like the Clash. Oh yeah, I mean, I still have moments where I look across the stage and think, looks like the bloke had a Ruts over there.
He's taking a rugby there. So, can we talk about your guitar influence?
Of course, yeah.
Right. Very earliest
memories of music generally. Well, I was born in 1961. So I'm 61. Oh, you as well?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's best year.
Vintage.
Vintage. That's the word. That's the word. Vintage. So I can remember the Beatles very well as a very small lad. I remember the Beatles. My mum telling me once that I knew about 3 or 4. But I said, why is he pointing the other way? McCartney obviously the other way around. So I must have been looking at guitars. It's kind of weird, really. So I remember the Beatles well on the telly. Not in the sense that I was thinking I could do that, but I just remember seeing them, and it was so exciting. And then sort of later, I can remember seeing Hendrix on the telly, but I don't remember particularly liking, what it was. I remember seeing all that. But I started to like music, I suppose, glam rock. And also, because that was just fantastic. Slade, T-Rex, particularly Mark Bolan was just like...
It was organic, wasn't it? And it was so exciting. It came from left field, it came from nowhere, really. No one saw it coming. No one saw it coming. And it's his own genre.
So I absolutely loved all that. But at the same time, my family are from Merseyside, and we used to go up to stay in Birkenhead with the family in school holidays. And we had two cousins, Steve and Gary, and this is relevant, trust me. Gary, they were real lads, but Gary started playing guitar. And I can sort of see him now saying, yeah, look at this old Leigh, and he brought this acoustic guitar in. I was holding it and thinking, oh. And he sort of put my hands on it. And that was the first kind of moment when I had this guitar. It would have been about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And I said to my mum and dad, you know, can I have one for Christmas? Dad? Yeah, like you do. Eventually he got me this guitar, which it's a real one. And I discovered to my absolute horror that he didn't just play it. I thought you just pick it up and I can be in the Beatles now, so it'd be brilliant. And it was, so that went under the bed. But eventually I kind of remembered it and started to play. As I say, certainly the glam bands I loved. Started to like some sort of heavy rock music on the back of that, and as I say, we had these older cousins who were great. There was a second-hand record shop in Birkenhead called Skeleton Records. It's still there.
Yeah, oh, is it?
Yeah, it's still there. In fact, I heard the guy that ran it unfortunately died not so long ago. He'd been there since the early 70s, sadly, but I think they're carrying it on. Sure. And they used to buy records when we stayed up there. They're going on a Friday night with their money. They worked in the shipyard and buy like half a dozen records and play with these records. You know, Black Sabbath and all these sorts. I've never heard sounds like it. You know? No. And I can remember, the one I always remember is Irish Tour 74. So that dates it, I would have been 12 or 13. I remember they put a record on, and it's got that murmuring, and this voice says, ladies and gentlemen, where are you gonna hear? Yeah. And then this racket started up on guitar. I thought, God, what's this? And, you know, it's like from outer space or something. And it's Rory. You know,
so it would be safe to say that maybe Rory was your first big guitar influence.
That really hit me. Yeah. I can hear that sound now.
Yeah, I can,
Cradle rock, that opening thing. I just thought, oh, what's this? Yeah. As I say, I still like the 60s music a lot. A lot of my mates didn't, which was good. I kind of like that. They didn't like it. And then Feel Goods. Definitely Feel Goods. Yeah. Saw Wilco on the telly and just thought, hello, this is just crazy.
Yeah, this is a bit of me. Yeah.
And my mates didn't like that either, so
which is even better. Yeah, exactly.
Just it was all going well.
Yeah.
And as I say, like kind of heavy rock music, Richie Blackmore, like Pagey, of course, you know, all the kings really. Yeah. And then we, you know, that punk thing appeared. And
what was that again?
That punk rock lark. And we were off, you know. And again, that polarised people so much. It's hard to think back now. You'd have been the same age.
Well, I always found it very strange because, you know, I was like you. I mean, I used to love Nazareth, the first three Queen albums, and my favourite albums of all time. Wow. And when punk came along, the original.
Yeah, sure.
And I include the Ruts in there as well.
Yeah,
you know, before the 80s stuff, which I didn't understand so much.
The Gumby stuff.
Yeah, I don't really understand that so much, you know what I mean? Like I say, good luck to them. They do what they do, and fair play to everyone. But I always found with the Pistols and to a lesser extent, you know, the Clash and yourselves, I always found it was just very well played rock music with a different kind of vocal approach. Yeah, that's how I saw it, and a little bit faster, you know.
Yeah, a bit rougher and whatever, and subject matter was different.
Different, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No Wizards and Dragons.
No, that was something I was sort of couldn't really relate to. No, try as I might, and like
much as we love Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, well, I saw him in Rainbow. Saw him a few times. I love
brilliant.
Blackmore was just extraordinary.
Oh God, that Baroque style, you know.
But outrageous and raving mad.
Yeah, complete lunatic, which we like too. You never know, we might get that oddball on here one day. Right. Don't hold your breath.
Have you ever met him?
No. I probably dare say I'll end up punching shit out of each other.
A lot of people who have over the years.
Yeah, he's an oddball. I know Gary Bushell's met him and done some interviews with him, and he said he is an odd dude. Odd dude.
Challenging.
Challenging. Right.
But you know, just listen to. It doesn't matter. Does it?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it was in the fingers, as they say.
Just incredible. So all that stuff was great.
Brilliant. Now, what do you use now as a guitar rig, Leigh? What's your weapons of choice?
Oh right, with Ruts DC, I use Les Pauls. I've got two Les Pauls I use with our group.
I've seen one of them, and it's a beautiful Les Paul.
Yeah, but the I think they call it Cherry Sunburst, don't they? Yeah. The red one or the black one. Yeah, the red one is that's a 90s standard.
Yeah.
Relatively recently got the black custom that you've seen in years. I've had that actually.
Yes.
I always forget there's 2 years missing, isn't it? When none of the anything. I've had it about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. I didn't get on with it. I bought it on a bit. I'd always wanted a custom. Steve Jones, whatever else. seeing people like yourself.
I was never a fan of customs. I was a stand-up.
I like the custom.
Yeah.
But I was Mark Bowler again. I could
Yeah,
see him
yeah.
waving it around.
Yeah, well, right,
I
so-
think maybe I thought it would make my hair grow back. I don't know. Yeah. I have to think about that.
We're beyond that, mate.
Maybe not think about that for too long.
No, no.
But I kind of was looking one for a while, and I found one in a little shop in Brighton.
Yeah.
And it was one of those ones where I got it home and it was like, oh no, it doesn't feel any
It's
good
not
today.
what I thought, yeah.
Oh no. And it took me ages to kind of get into it.
Yeah.
And I ended up, there was an accidental swapping of pickups.
Oh, all right.
I took a bit of a chance,
Yeah.
and that seemed to really bring it alive.
I fixed it.
And I used it. I was going to use it, as a spare, which sounds terribly grand having a Les Paul custom as a spare. But now it's gone the other way around. I use that all the time. I used that with the Marshall DSL 100 head, dual super lead. So it's not digital. It's dual super lead. So it's a 2-channel amp.
So you don't. What about choice of effects?
Fairly simple. I use a 3 in a row, if you like, or overdrive, chorus, and echo or delay.
Yeah.
And then I have a boost pedal.
Yeah.
So
that's the end of the chain.
yeah. So the basic sound is maybe a bit cleaner than people think.
Okay.
So that's for using on, say, Jar War or Mighty Soldier, those sorts of songs. Which, but I back it up a bit on the guitar, clean it up a bit, and then that sound is kind of cleaner. And I've got the wonderfully named Green Rhino. Made by a company called Way Huge, one of these sort of slightly mad companies.
Yeah, you're off the wall.
Overdrive pedals.
Like Mad Professor.
Yeah, someone recommended it to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And I've used that ever since. Boss chorus pedal, Boss delay pedal, the old red one.
Yeah.
And the boost is a 2-stage boost made by a company called Monty's Guitars.
Yeah.
Who come back to the pickup thing.
Yeah.
They set some guitars up for me, and they do this two-stage boost pedal called the More pedal.
The mod pedal.
So basically, I have it set so I've got if the overdrive's on, the first button knocks it up a bit, so I'd use that for something that I said, the riffs or Rude Boys, the big riffs.
Yeah.
And then the end button is like all bets are off. That's the big solo. And if you want to go completely mad, just put both on.
Put both on.
That's the feedback.
We love that.
That's the feedback endings.
We love that kind of ending.
Hands off the guitar stuff. That's both of them on, and it just goes crackers, and then you have to try and stop it. So it's a fairly simple setup. I've never used
simple but effective.
I hope so. Yeah.
It is.
I've never used a rack mount stuff or anything like that. Again, people get great sounds out of it.
Yeah, but you like the organic approach and the analog approach, and it
I'm
sort of
old
works.
school. Really.
Good.
I like all those people we've been speaking about sound like that.
Yeah, because a lot of the modelling stuff. I mean, I think Line 6, for example, are terribly overrated. You know, I stuck a Stomp HX through front of house in Germany the other week, and I said get rid of it. It was so obvious it was a modelling unit.
It sort of painted it.
It didn't work. It had a terrible delay on the switching as well.
That's what I was about to say. Did you get that thing where you play it and it comes back?
Yes.
That fraction.
That fraction, and it froze you.
Yeah. Oh no, I've got enough trouble without
that.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to think about.
Yeah. Well, speaking of such, we have a very nice little treat in now, because Leigh has been good enough to bring this beautiful '63 Stratocaster, which used to belong to the great Paul Fox of the Ruts. Can you tell us a bit about this guitar, Leigh?
Yes, I can. So this, Paul owned this guitar. He told me he received it for his 21st birthday. I think he might have got some money and bought it. I'm not sure which way, but he got it for his 21st birthday, which he's 10 years older than me, so that would have been 72. He would have got that.
Okay.
He used it extensively before the Ruts. He had a band called Hit and Run with Dave Ruffin on drums.
Yeah.
And he also played in other sort of rock and roll cover bands locally. Famously, the Ruts' first appearance was in the interval at one of his pub gigs. They did like 3 songs, I think.
Yeah.
Put the house down by all accounts. Well, according to Dave. I mean, who knows? It was probably utterly horrifying. You've gone along to listen to
bit of artistic licence there, but who cares?
It's great. Yeah, got along to listen to sort of cheery music and this stuff. So he used it before the Ruts, and in very early Ruts pictures, he's using it. The one in Trafalgar Square, Rockin' Traces, I think he's got it in there.
Yeah.
And when he first got it, the way most of us can see it with Paul is on top of the Pops. The second go of Babylon's Burning, where Malcolm's wearing a black shirt as opposed to the yellow shirt. The yellow shirt one's always shown. The black shirt one, Paul's got this guitar with him. And it had been, as it often happened in the 70s, all the paint had been stripped off it, And as he put it, I know, but people didn't, you know.
They didn't care.
And it had been hand painted.
Yeah.
Literally, it had just been kind of toshed up as if with a few beers and a paintbrush.
And how did it come to you?
Well, that in itself is a question as well. So Paul uses it on the Ruts records. It's on the Crack. It's on Bear and Bear It. Animal Now. This one, with inclusion. Number one. But yeah, and then he played it with a band called Dirty Strangers, who are still about.
Yeah.
Probably know Dirty's Alan.
Yeah, I remember Alan.
It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I know Al.
Proper rock and roll.
Yeah.
And it then got Foxy painted on it. He always was drawing on it and all sorts. And they had a load of wax over it for a while. When he played in a band called Foxes and Rats with Ratscapes, they were doing all kind of Hendrix and Cream. And he put all this kind of wax over it, which I was.
What are you doing? Foxy, get a grip.
And then he had it painted. I think a mate of his was a car sprayer or something. Foxy painted on it. And then it, for whatever reason, it got sold. And I remember thinking, well, I'd have bought that. And one day, I was I was doing the thing that you never do. I bought a guitar magazine, and who actually goes and gets a guitar magazine and reads the adverts at the back? Well, I was reading the adverts at the back, and this thing said Fender Stratocaster, ex Paul Scott. I remember thinking, no, it could. No, hang on. Well, that's a bit of a weird coincidence. Could that be it? And I got on the phone. Yeah, he was in a band called. He was in a sort of punk band. I thought, okay, better not say too much. This is gonna go through the roof,
Let's get service rendered.
And I was, I've been looking for a Strat for a while because I was playing in a rhythm and blues band at the time called the Informers, sort of feel goods, 9 Below Zero. Great fun with some old chums. And there it was, the
incredible
that you see now. And I won't say I would have paid anything for it, but I wasn't going to haggle too much.
It was, it was coming home with you.
This is mine, I've got to have this,
Wow.
And I remember telling Paul, your guitar, you don't happen to remember the serial number, do you? Which he did, and I sort of said, all right, have a look at this, and got it out of the case, and he was like, it's my guitar, it's my guitar. Well, actually, strictly speaking, it's my guitar, Paul, but let's not go too far down that road.
Yeah.
I think we kind of agreed it was our guitar.
Our guitar.
Yeah, he kept saying, I'll go have this back one day. I said, well, you never know,
No chance.
But he did play it after that, and so it was never too far away from me.
I remember he played this. It's my little Rats story, right? Before I had the Cockney Rejects, the Rats were playing at the Marquee when it was in Wardour Street, and I was pissed in the ship next door before the show, and Malcolm was in there. Didn't know they'd met him, so I called me being me. I bums up to Malcolm and goes, "All right, mate, got a bed myself." Like, he went, "Oh, have you? Lovely fella." I bet he thought, what the fuck is this?
No, you're not another bloke.
I went, I got banged with the Cockney Rejects, which I didn't. So anyway, I went, oh, good luck to you, mate. I hope it all goes well. Yeah, I'll be up the front. So anyway, long story short, the Ruts are banging away. I was playing that thing, and all of a sudden, Mel goes to the front of the stage. He went, yeah, we got Mickey, is it, from the Cockney Rejects. He's going to come up and play a bit of guitar. I thought, fuck, shit. You know what I mean? So he handed me a spare guitar. I got up. I don't know what I was, but I was off my mind, and I don't remember much about it, apart from the fact that after whatever we was playing was finished, I put the guitar back, and Foxy just looked at me and went, "I thought you said you could play." Oh. And he had a good point, actually. But yeah,
that was hard on yourself. I'm sure it was much better than you thought.
Well, I was about 10.
Well, did the Rejects exist then?
No.
Oh, it was just
it was just, it existed up here, you know what I mean? But that's about all.
Yeah, but sometimes that's everything starts with an idea.
It does, and it's haunted me for 43 years.
That's a classic. Yeah. Wow, that really is a classic.
So let's hear this beauty then, Lee. If you wouldn't mind giving us a few.
Cool. Well, you can play a bit as well because you'd like to. So it's classic Fender Stratocaster.
Beautiful.
The old between sounds are really nice. Let's just
Beautiful.
It's a great.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's just a lovely guitar to play. I should play it more often. I don't really
you
take
should.
it out now. I play it around
Please
the house.
do.
I play it around the house.
Yeah.
But I should take it out.
That's one for running around the front room with your underpants on, isn't it, Ben? Clicking on.
Careful what you give away here, mate. Yeah, I mean, you know. I always thought those sorts of sounds on these
Lovely.
guitars were fabulous.
Beautiful. It's bell clear as well.
That's the thing.
Bell
with
clear.
this,
It rings.
I mean, most of it's there's not much of it's original now, apart from basically the scratch plate.
But I mean, even the, you know, the single coils, the ring from them, you know.
Yeah.
That's what always surprised me about Blackmore, how that he managed to get so much oomph out of what is a very thin sounding pickup. That sounds so full-blooded.
Maybe maybe it's in there somewhere as well. Because like the earlier guitars, there is a bit of magic about
There
them,
is,
as you said.
definitely. A new Strat would not compare with that in any way.
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I can, you know, spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah.
So maybe you do too.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to them. As you say, you listen to some of the sounds that people get.
Yeah.
Stratocaster, I mean, it's the only Stratocaster I've got. There's no point in getting another one.
You will never need another one.
No.
It's as good as it gets.
And I'm pleased to say I use it on the Ruts DC, both the Ruts DC albums I've done.
Brilliant.
Because it's kind of, and
It's right, isn't
and
it?
both the lads are really kind of, that's the thing that's kind of
It's gone full circle.
swam through the whole story almost.
It's gone
you know,
full
so-
circle, as it should be.
So Music Must Destroy and Counterculture,
Yeah.
it's all over it.
They're both great
Which is
albums.
kind of cool. Especially the whammy bar stuff.
Yeah.
All the mad noises you can do with it and all that kind of thing.
Love it.
Like I say, I used it, you know, say field impressions really,
Yeah.
which it was great for.
Yeah.
You know.
Perfect.
But it's perfect for a lot of things, really.
It is. It's perfect. Full stop.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have a little change of pace now, Lee, because
Now this is a nervous moment.
it's a bullseye. Yes, it's that time when I metamorphosise into the mighty one and only. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Who used to host it? Jim Bowen. That's him. Bit of Jim Bowen. So I metamorphosise into Jim Bowen. Lee's going to go. He's going to have a little 9-dart throw at our dartboard, and I shall explain exactly what's going to happen very shortly on the next part of Rock and Roll Campfire. Rock and Roll Campfire! First smashing thread. So you can't beat a bitch of bully, and this is Rock and Roll Campfire's Bullseye Challenge. 9-dart Bullseye Challenge. Mr. Leigh Heggarty is going to throw 9 darts. And at the end of those 9 darts, we're going to tally up his points. And if at the end of the first series of Rock and Roll Campfire, he has the biggest total, we'll put pounds to points and we'll dedicate it to his favourite charity. So, on with Mr. Tony Green, who I'm now going to metamorphosise into for some crazy reason. Don't kill me, Lee. Right,
I don't intend to.
right. Almost ready. Right. Nice and relaxed now, Lee. Off you go. Oh, it's a woman. That's a 13. Oh, and it's treble 11. That's a lot of darts. I can't add them up because I'm totally numeral dyslexic. 45. Good going, Lee.
That's not bad.
It's a 1. That's a 14. Oh, and that's a 2. 17 scored. Oh, mate. That's a 20. Oh, that's another one. That's 22. So Lee scores whatever he scores. Back to you, Jim. Super smashing great turn. Will that be a winning score, or will that be BFH? Bus fair on? Because you can't beat a bitter bully. Rock and roll campfire! Well done, Lee. 84, mate. You're ahead of the leaderboard. You're ahead of Richard by 4 points.
4 points, well, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it could happen.
Well, as I say, I normally don't hit the dartboard, so I'm well pleased with that.
I'll tell you what. Let's have a clip of the Ruts doing their thing. Here you go.
I get stressed before I'm even dressed. I must confess, it's a very testing time. I'm distressed because I'm under duress. We gotta stay on tight, get unified. dream, the soldier, the lies they told you. Whatever happened to the voice of freedom that kept us breathing? Did we stop believing and get to know what you don't know? Nobody without blame. We gotta break the chain and stay in the game. My soul feels sick, I gotta fix it quick. I must confess it's a very testing time. I'm on a ledge, falling over the edge, losing a grip of what's left of my mind.
That was the Ruts rocking joint, as ever. Now, Lee, off the top of your head, sir, your favourite guitarist and your favourite solo, without thinking too much about it. Oh,
I nearly said you're a bad man, but I can't say that to you. Okay, this week, Pete Townsend, and it's his playing on Won't Get Fooled Again. I heard it the other day, and you forget that it's just the most devastating guitar sound.
Yeah, it is, isn't
It's
it?
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that I always come back to, that big A chord and the sound.
And them old high white amps.
Yeah, and just that, I heard Won't Get Fooled Again the other day, and it was just, you go right back to it straight
There you
away.
go.
Incredible sound.
You heard it here first.
That's
That's Lee's choice, and it's a damn good one, sir, if I may say so. Now, we need to talk about the Wingmen.
Oh, right, okay.
Right.
Wingmen now, yes.
Now, in the Wingmen, of course, we've got Lee, we've got Baz Walton from the Stranglers, Paul Gray from Eddie and the Hot Rods, The Damned, and others,
UFO.
and Marty from Mopeds. Yes, UFO, he did play after Pete left at the time. So, how did this come about?
A bit like we were saying earlier about everything's by accident. By accident. During that lockdown thing, and it literally makes no difference when, does it? I can't remember when it actually happened.
No,
It just
it's
time just
all
disappeared.
yeah.
I got a message one morning from Martin saying something like, have you got 5 minutes for a chat? And I think I just about sent the message back and the phone rang, so I thought, oh, hello, he's keen, And it transpired that Paul Gray, who plays in the Damned were just about to announce that they were reforming their original lineup, which again, of course, didn't happen then for 18 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're about to announce it, and he wasn't obviously part of that, but he had a batch of songs. And I must admit, the first thought, I thought he was actually going to do a solo album the way it was first talked about, but basically they said Martin said to him, let's record the songs, and he said, who can we get? And amazingly, my name came up for playing guitar, and Martin had my number, he phoned up, would I be interested in playing some songs with Paul Gray from the Damned and Eddie? I can squeeze that in. I'll have to think about it. I've thought about it. I can do it, of course. And Martin said, well, all right, well, who else can we get? And I didn't even think about it. I just said, if I could be in a group with someone, it would be Baz from the Stranglers. So Martin said, well, phone him up then. Can't phone him up and say, join a group with me. That's mad. He said, well, I've just phoned you up. It works.
It works.
So I sat there for about a day, I think, writing this text message to Baz. Every excuse in the book. Don't worry if you don't want to do it. I'm quite shy sometimes of things like that. And I sent this message. Nothing happened. Oh well. Anyway, I woke up the next morning and he'd sent a message at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was written in fluent Baz, which if any of you have heard.
I know Baz, he's a good friend of the late Tony Van
I
Fraser.
was going to say, he knew Tony very well, of course, It was written in fluent Baz, but the gist of it was, of course I'd like to be in a group with
Hey
you.
man!
Yeah. And I spoke to him on the phone that day, and I said, well look, let's see what we can do. So we did one of those Zoom things that we were all doing in them days, and I kind of assumed that they'd have met, but him and Paul had never met, which was kind of interesting. You sort of think everyone bumps into people.
Touchy good,
And they never had. But we all got on well on the screen. Paul sent some song ideas over, and Baz said, well, I've got some songs as well. And we started building it up all separately, because obviously we couldn't go in a recording studio.
No.
So Paul sent a song over, for example, and then he'd send it to me and Baz with no guitars on it. And right, off you go, lads, kind of thing. So I'd put a guitar on, Baz put a guitar on, and we'd be sending these things backwards and forwards. And then Baz had a go at a vocal on one, and then he said, well, I've got this song, and we did the same with his. So we gradually built it up, and it was really exciting. And quite
the upside of technology.
Yeah,
for every downside, that's the upside, right?
Yeah. And of course, what this means is we recorded everything to a drum track or a click track, So the last thing recorded was the drums.
Drums, yeah.
Which Martin did an amazing job at sounding like it wasn't the last thing recorded.
Yeah.
And we did that at a little studio in Reigate with a chap called Richard Coppin, who is better known to the world as Dick Crippen from Tenpole Tudor. He's the bass player on Cells of 1,000 Men.
Ah!
Fantastic. So good credentials to be involved.
Everything is all interconnected. We're very incestuous in this game.
And that's right. And he's worked with Paul and Martin on the Sensible Grey Cell stuff with Captain. He'd done some stuff there. And we got to about, I think we've got 12 of our own songs and a couple of cover versions. We've put 10 of them out as an album.
Now, this is the new album, as you can see, available now on Cadiz Music. And we're going to have a clip of that right now. Let's listen to the Wingmen. Gentlemen, that wraps up this episode of Mick Geggus' Rock and Roll Campfire, and I'd like to thank my good mate Leigh Heggarty from the Ruts and the Wingmen, great guitarist and a true gentleman, for joining me. Thank you so much, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Well, there you go, that's it for another episode. We'll be announcing some new guests and bits and pieces, some more Bullseye next time. You can like and subscribe us if you would. You can join me at mickgeggus.com coming soon to leave your comments, your thoughts, your views. The old shebang, the old Monty. And also we got Rock and Roll Campfire Facebook coming up. So join us next time for Mick Geggus' Rock and Roll Campfire. Oh yeah.